You and I exist in an infinite number of worlds, in an infinite number of ways.
See, he's on the line, and he's on the phone. Never miss a day at school, and he's the underdog. Wanna learn more, calling mama down and good. He's about to change his face, so he'll get to the neighborhood. Walk in school today, now brother on the street, saying I can't bring the school. I wanna be good to you, baby. Oh, call me crazy, but I think I found the love of my life. That's so. Have you ever felt warm on a cold night? How it gets you when you least expect it, and you can't reject it. That crazy little tingling, feeling pain in your chest, yes, that's love.
Hey y'all, and welcome back to the channel. If y'all are new here, my name is Ashley and this is My Sweet Perspective, where I give my take on all things TV and movie related. And y'all, BET Plus put out a movie last week, a movie that premiered at Sundance last year called Young, Wild, Free. And I watched it and I sat down and I said, listen, this deserves a conversation. This deserves the panel to get together and have a talk. So y'all know I'm not here alone. I am joined by some illustrious guests, and I'm going to bring them right out. I'm going to start with Miss Kay Bly from the Fifth Wall and the Horror and Hooch podcast. Hey, Kay, how are you doing today?
Hey. I'm so glad you pointed this movie out to me because, I don't pay attention to a lot of stuff that come out on BET Plus unless my mama tells me to watch something. So I wouldn't just normally find this movie, but I'm glad I did. This was something I was not expecting, and I liked it.
Yay. I'm so glad. I felt the exact same way. BET Plus will throw something in there every now and again. That's amazing. So I'm so glad that you thought it worthy to talk about. And we have another guest. Y'all know who it is. Y'all already know. Over at The Struggle.
Yeah, always struggling. All my life. Hello, Ashley. Hello, Kay. Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Girl, you know you're always welcome. How has your day been? How are you doing? Are you ready to talk about this movie?
I'm in the same boat as Kay. I don't be over there with BET too often. I think there's a certain type of content I expect to be over there on BET. So when we do get, things outside of the norm, I'm like, oh, this was good. Too bad it's over here.
You know what? Too bad. So sad. But y'all, without further ado, we are going to get right into it because, we got it. But let's first, I guess, let's say hi to everyone who's here because we do have some people in the building already. Hey, Joshua McDowell. He says, hi, Tyra. First live in a minute.
Oh, thank you.
Anakin Not Vader. Hey. How are you doing today? Hey, King Nikki TV. She says, what is this, a romance movie? No. Dane C says, Struggle Reviews TV. Hey, Tyra, my busty vixen.
Hello, Dane. Thank you.
And Breeze coming through with the super chat. Thank you so much, sis. I appreciate you so much. $2 super chat. Hey, y'all. Hope your day has been amazing so far. Dane says, Tyra got a beef with Tyler Perry. Oh, well. Well, thank goodness this isn't a Tyler Perry joint. Not on today. We'll be dealing with him soon enough.
On the 13th.
But y'all, I want to know, before we get deep off into this, what your overall thoughts were. You brought me out of the darkness, honey, and you led me right back in it. Kay, I'm going to start with you. As a movie overall, what were your thoughts?
Okay, as I was watching it, I was trying to compare it to something or predict it. I was like, is this like a black I Love You, Beth Cooper, or a black version of like a Walk to Remember or something? And then when it started getting like real hood, I'm like, am I watching like Menace to Society or Boys in the Hood? Why would Ashley tell me to watch this hood movie? And then, but I said, but I'm gonna see it through. I was like, it got to be more than this. I'm like, she wouldn't tell me to watch no trash. So I'm gonna see it all the way through. And I remember like clicking the button to see how far along the movie. I was like, okay, we halfway through. Something gotta pop off. The payoff was worth it. I'm here for a slow burn.
Okay.
So that payoff was worth the watch.
Okay, Tyra, overall thoughts, because I know you won't give it to me.
Child, I'm gonna double down on that slow burn. Child, it was slow. It wasn't cooking for quite some time there. I was like, all right, Ashley, I love you, but it's not cooking. And I was over there with Kay because we do pretty much follow our two mainly one teenage protagonist. It's just like if we're in this type of universe, kind of a high school setting, and I was waiting for that teenage 80s, 90s kind of rom-com type of thing to happen. And I'm like, okay, no, this isn't that. And then once we got deeper into it, I was like, okay, this is mostly giving me movies like Gully or something like Kick, where we get into not only the dynamics in this Inglewood, Compton area, but getting into things like escapism and mental illness. And I was like, oh, that's why we was here. Okay. That's why we was here. But slowly, I think I was connecting the dots, and I can't wait to hear you guys' thoughts on it because y'all know me and my predictableness with films. I'm like, okay, if it's gonna be this, I need something else to entice me to go, oh, okay, now it's all coming together and making sense. But I was clocking certain things before I think we were supposed to clock certain things.
Okay, I do too. I will, and we'll get to it, of course, because I was like, something's not quite as it seems. But let's get into the director. This one was directed by Thembi L. Banks, who wrote the script with They Clone Tyrone director, co-writer Jewel Taylor. And so these two got together and did a lot. But when I was kind of doing my deep dive into who Thembi is, I mean, she's been a part of Insecure. She's been a part of Only Murders in the Building. She's got producer, director, and writer's credits under her belt. And, you know, listen, the lady can tell a story, right? You know, for however you felt about it going through it, I think by the end of it, we were like, oh, okay. All right, sis. Yeah, you did something there. But basically, for those of you who are here in the chat and haven't watched it yet, the film stars Algie Smith. Algie, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but he's from Euphoria, plays a hot-tempered high school senior whose claustrophobic life is suddenly thrust into an enticing, dangerous direction after he's robbed at gunpoint by the girl of his dreams, played by Sierra Capri Monse, right? From On My Block. Being a teenager is rough, and Brandon, played by Algie Smith, is no different between struggling in school, caring for his two younger siblings, and having just been let go from his job. Brandon uses his art to escape from the confines of his subdued day-to-day life. Enter Cassidy, a bedazzled bad girl dripping in confidence, freedom, and danger. Lured in by her whimsies, Brandon teams up with Cassidy, honey, and they absolutely do the most, all right? Janice Huffman is his mother, played by Sanaa Lathan. And y'all, as far as performances overall, talk to me. I'll start with you, Tyra. What did you think of these three main actors and how they did in their roles?
Everybody did great. Everybody did as expected. You know, Sanaa been around the block for quite some time, so I already know what to expect from her in a performance. Sierra Capri, aka Monse. We gotta stop calling her Monse, but girl, that's Monse. That's Monse, and I'm Jamal. It was nice to see her outside of On My Block. This is my first time seeing her outside of the show, and I just kind of feel like we watched her grow up. So it's like, oh, girl, you're so it's so adultified. I love it. I love it. Now, Algie Smith, I was really happy to see him here after the way they did my boy in Euphoria, because he just politely disappeared when we got into that second season. They just wrote my boy out pretty much. And I get a little distracted when it comes to him because I've been kind of prepping myself. I always try to keep an eye out for the younger talent and them transitioning into their more adult roles. And with Algie being about 30, I want to see him be on his grown man stuff. So I've been waiting for that transition. So I can tend to be all into detail and get a little distracted when we are supposed to be giving high schooler. And I was like, all right, we know they made you cut off your beard. They made you cut off your man beard, and we can see that fresh face. But he performed as I expected. Everybody did an exceptional job, but I would be amiss if I didn't say that I wanted to see Algie outside of high school. I do.
Absolutely. I mean, because I always think all-American when I think about these old A men and women playing 14, 15, 16. I'm like, come on, y'all. Come on. There's got to be some young folks that can do the role. Kay, what did you think about these performances? Was there any standout for you?
I was pleasantly surprised to see Mike Epps in this movie, in a movie that wasn't a comedy movie. So I actually really enjoyed that performance. Algie's a very good actor, but there's a lot of young actors out there that could have also played that role. Not that he didn't fulfill the role, but I guess it was just the knowledge of we know that you could have actually made him in college, and it would have been more believable, honestly. And Sanaa Lathan, like that's a whole legend. So I mean, she always gonna come and do what she has to do.
Deliver every single time. That's what they do. So we are going to be right back because I have a little video and you guys can get to know Brandon. Okay. And we're going to do this for each of the main characters, y'all. So just relax and enjoy for a couple minutes and we'll be right back to get into him.
You and I exist in an infinite number of worlds, in an infinite number of ways.
See, he's all right, and he's on the phone. Never miss a day at school, and he's the underdog. Wanna learn more, call his mama down and good. He's about to change his face, so he'll get to the neighborhood. Walk in school today, now running on the street, saying I ain't getting things cool. Set the brothers packing, he don't sleep. I asked you a question when it comes to cause he's so, it doesn't matter. He's so fortunate. Janice, mother was sad. They will pass. Time will pass. Stop wondering what I'm talking about. Everybody know what the song's about. They be trying to hide the history. They know who we are. You want to see everybody rise to this free. Raise your hands high if you free. Just say it's sorry. Ooh, yes, sorry. If you agree, say yes, sorry. It's very make it down, say
Production. Production here.
You know what? But that's
it.
That's Brandon and the interactions that we saw him in. And so before we get into this list, of course, I want to know, starting with UK, initially, what did you think of Brandon? Like in the first, I guess first couple acts in the movie. What did you think of him? What was your initial impression, your takeaway from like the character of Brandon? Oh, well,
Uh-oh.
Tyra.
I can't out with you. I thought Brandon was like you pretty much have everything here. He was extremely talented, but really unmotivated, really lost. Brandon was getting me in my little anxiety bag. You know, when them bills come and you start shaking, I was like, yes, Brandon. Yes, Brandon. You know, things are, you could tell that there was a lot of just things mounting up and getting on his shoulders. And I especially felt for him from the perspective of the oldest child, because if you are the oldest child to a single mother, sometimes you are, I don't want to say burdened with, but you do have the bulk of the responsibility. So I was identifying with him there. And he just seemed so lost. And it just felt like he needed some type of release, but there were certain things that were flashing in his mind, and I'm just trying to, like, there's a history there, something is wrong, there's a disconnect for Brandon and why he is so unmotivated, and yet we see that he has this amazing talent. But child, it's a whole lot when we're getting into that, and not just being the oldest, but you're the oldest boy. There's a whole different dynamic when you're the boy, you're instantly the man of the house, and you have to pretty much handle everything. So we know how that goes. But I was feeling for Brandon.
Absolutely. I immediately empathized with him. I was like, dang, because we see it a lot, right? We see it mirrored in a lot of situations where the young man, like you're the man, like you said, you're the man of the house now. Okay. And so you're going to help mommy with whatever she's got going on. Right. But then add a mentally ill mother who I believe suffers from bipolar, depression, all that, with two younger siblings, right? The people coming to you about everything, right? The property taxes years behind. You just got fired from your
Yeah.
job for fighting. There's some kind of unspoken incident that we really don't get a ton of information about, except chairs were flying across the room at school. Um, but he's got to be father, brother, provider, protector. Clearly damaged, right? We see early on he's staring at a picture of his father, who we're assuming is gone, right? Out of this realm, struggling silently and then not so silently. He's definitely battling something, mama issues, untreated mental health issues, and an unaliver
Yeah.
question mark. Because
Child. I really wish they had delved more into the mother's mental state, because we saw, what was wrong, and we hear talks of therapy and lithium, but we don't verbatim say, oh, this is what it is. Because I wanted to get into that history, so maybe we could later try to identify exactly what Brandon may be going through.
absolutely. I was the same way because, girl, I had to look up lithium. I said, well, they don't really prescribe it that much anymore. But coming over to the healthcare provider professional, okay, what did you think of Brandon? Do you believe, well, by the end of the movie, he's got untreated mental health issues, but how did Brandon resonate for you?
I thought that his character had a lot of heart to he was not only trying to take care of his younger siblings but also his mom too, because we find out very early mom is sick. And I worked in a mental hospital before, so I knew what lithium was. You get prescribed lithium, you have psychosis, you have schizophrenia, you have dissociative disorder. That's not something that they pass out all the time. And so for him to try to be responsible at such a young age, it was like kind of heartbreaking, but it also, that's where it leaves room for you to start, committing crimes and whatnot, like your typical hood movie.
That's probably one of the elements that I liked most about the movie. Again, after I got through it, I said, geez, is this what it's like to have a mental illness, like psychosis and delusion? Like, is that what this feels like? Because, honey, baby, she was real. In my mind, I said, oh, they're Bonnie and Clyde. Like, this is a real life situation, honey. And speaking of her, we'll be right back. Yeah, let's meet Cassidy.
You and I
baby. Okay, so now we have Cassidy, honey. Now I'm gonna be honest with you. I said, yeah, Brandon unhinged too, because there's no way that an armed, masked gunman comes into the Circle K or wherever we are, opening up bottles of soda, pouring them in the floor, eating all the Funyuns, like taking feminine hygiene products in front of the man who's working there. You know what I'm saying? And then pulls out the blicky, right? Threatening to do damage and comes and kisses you all in the back of your throat and your mouth, and you instantly like, I'm in love, Tyra.
I I think this was my issue with the film. Not that I didn't love Cassidy and the portrayal overall. I knew immediately Cassidy was not real. And I feel like that is me missing the total point of the movie. It was at no point in this film that I felt like, oh, Cassidy's a real person. I wish they would have leaned a little to the left with Cassidy's outlandish behavior, even though she is supposed to be a fixation of mentally all the things that Brandon, is thinking about doing, and more of the risky things, that behavior that he wants to indulge in. I knew she wasn't real immediately. And I was like, okay, I don't think this is a real person. Like you said, her coming in there like, baby, we're gonna rob the store. First of all, bedazzled was the perfect thing to put in her in her little statement, because the looks were down to the gods. We look like, I was like, baby, we don't get a lot of history on Cassidy besides what's on her person when we exchange everything. But every time we see her, she's just appearing. We make it a habit for nobody in the show to movie, for anybody to physically interact with her outside of him. And that just, puts the stamp on it. But I was trying to put that to the side and just enjoy the movie for what it was. And I was like, oh, this will rock me if she is actually real. And I'm tripping. I was like, oh, man. Oh, man. But she is, she's great. I got those same senses of that Bonnie and Clyde when we got into, shut up, Dane. once we got into her obsession with film, I love that. And you could tell that even though we didn't know anything about her, she had been through some things, and that they were kind of kindred spirits. From the first time that they meet, you could tell that she's seeing some of herself in Brandon, which is why she wants to link up with him in the first place. But you can't give me that and expect me to feel that she's actually there when we have her just kind of appearing in the house. Like, just her body language, the dressing up of it all. It didn't feel real. It didn't feel real. Like, I just wish that they kind of toned it down a little bit, because they kind of had me for a second. I was like, well, she did, take his wallet, that would, and then they would like snatch it right back with certain, behaviors or looks. Like, but yeah, the looks were giving, her behavior was giving, and what kept me going is that regardless if she was real or not, I wanted to see just how far they were going to go and what they were going to do and what she was going to get him to do. Because we're going to get into Brandon, because who the hell you calling Janice? Go ahead.
Wow, the disrespect of it all. Because I was like, dang, is it his mama or not? Because where we do that at? But now I will say, listen, I must need to be a more astute observer, because I thought she was real. I just thought she was unhinged. I did. I will say I did think it was a dream at a certain point. But I didn't think it was what it turned out to be. Kay, what did you think of Cassidy? Did you immediately know that she wasn't?
I mean, she dressed like a figment of somebody's imagination. I didn't necessarily think that she wasn't real. I thought that she might have been somebody who was like sick, because who would do this ridiculous stuff unless you knew that, you weren't going to have any consequences for it. So in my mind, I felt like she was somebody that was like terminally ill or something. And that would give her a reason to act this way. But I didn't think she was just a regular person. I honestly thought that I thought she was ill. So
Thought she was on her way out of here. We have seen that trope in other movies before, like, oh, I'm gonna go out with a bang, right? But definitely Cassidy was unhinged, unruly, lawless. Bonnie to his Clyde, film obsessed, both similar yet different, right? And then I just put in there a delusion, a reflection, like definitely reckless, honey. And we gonna have to get into it because there's more. But we have another main character that I want to talk about. So, y'all, give me a minute and 10 seconds and we'll meet our next character. Now, see, that last scene is what I needed to see early in this episode. I need to see it at the very end. But we meet Janice, an unfit mother. I'm saying bipolar, but like Kay educated us, it could be more than bipolar. That was the first thing that popped up when I Googled uses for lithium. And I said, love her kids, depressed, in a bad relationship, financially struggling, single mom. Mama needs a life too, right? Because she's like, I gotta get out. I gotta get out of here, Jody. Ashamed and embarrassed, broken. And I think, this is just reminiscent of real life again, right? If you have a damaged parent, it's likely that one or some or most of your children will be as well. But if I can be honest, I didn't like Janice in the beginning. Now, but see, the confusion becomes, right? Was that really who Janice was? Or is that just the way that he interpreted her? You know what I'm saying? Tyra, what were your thoughts on Janice? Did you like Janice?
I needed some more time with Janice. I needed a flashback of Janice at her worst. I needed something like that, or just some references to who she was in the past. Because, I mean, Janice, wasn't perfect, but she had it together. She, her kids were safe for the most part. She held down a job. I was just seeing, it wasn't giving totally unfit. You could tell that I thought that she was perfectly fine. And it was just the case of, I'm a single mother and I'm working so much that I don't have time to cater to the kids, and I'm having my son to carry that burden. It did not give me mental illness right off the bat. And I kept waiting for okay, this is the problem. I didn't, I saw, an imperfect mother, but I didn't see oh my goodness, take the kids, get the babies out the house. It wasn't, it wasn't giving me that. And with the complexities, or just complex in general, the plex that he had for her, I needed to see that, because I was looking at him like, why are you disrespecting her like that? Why are you talking out the side of your neck to her like that? But I'm like, there has to be some type of history for you to call your mother by her first name.
On a regular basis.
We already know the cursing, the back and forth. It was just giving Brandon's energy was, how are you going to tell me anything when you used to ... And I had to hold it down. I was, getting with the bills. I was taking care of the kids. But we just don't see that present day. So it's just kind of it was a little jarring to me. But that was me.
Child, I was saying bad mama. I said, them kids ain't got nothing to eat. All you got is peanut butter and pickles in that refrigerator. I don't like it, Janice. Get out the bed, Janice. But I agree. As far as one of my critiques of the film, I said I would have liked her to have been fleshed out more. I would have really wanted to see why there was this chasm in their relationship. Like, why do you hate her? Because when he said, "Get the F out of my room, Janice," and she was like, I said, get him, Janice, because still, we don't want to disrespect nobody's
Child.
mama.
I just knew this was a mother who was she had maybe went down. I thought the father had maybe passed away recently, and all three kids had this, the same dad. And I was just putting pieces together, child, that weren't there. I was like, oh, let me shut up.
Kay, what you think of Mama Janice? What you think of Sanaa Janice?
She was giving me very much mentally ill when she was laying down a lot and just couldn't get out of the bed or couldn't get out of the room. And if you think of things from his perspective, if she hadn't earned that title of mom, if he's been mom and dad all this time because she can't get out of bed, he got to buy the groceries, he got to feed the kids, he pick them up from school, he get them breakfast and get them ready for the school because of her illness and because she was not stable on her medication because of stepdad, he would have lost his respect for her. And I see why. When you are dealing with somebody who is severe mental illness and they go through psychosis, this is not, they're just sad or they're just depressed or a little anxious. Severe mental illness is not for the weak. And if he had to go through her having severe mental illness at a young age, which means he had to grow up quicker than what he should have, of course, oh no, ma'am, you ain't mom, you are Janice. I'll call you mom when you act like mom. Today you're Janice.
Wow. But, and that's what I wanted to see.
That's what I'm saying. Like, not even when I was so waiting to get something with the visions he kept having of the ceiling fan and eventually his scar. I was like, something happened to him in relation to his mother or his upbringing. I was waiting real heavy for a flashback. I was waiting real heavy to see Janice, and because Janice was just giving now when she went off on that tangent going, I'm not crazy, I'm not, and you could really get the image of someone who doesn't want to take their medication or go to therapy because that's me coming to terms with my mental health and I'm fine, like, and you're actually not. But I just needed to see, I needed something tangible to go, okay, now I see you, baby, you poor thing. It wasn't there, so I was just like, yo, lower the bass in your voice in my house.
But yeah, I would have liked to see that. And I think it was the defiant, I'm not cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I'm not going to take this medicine, because he was like, why you keep letting him take your lithium? And so I think while they touched on certain things, yeah, I would have liked it to have been more fleshed out. You know what I mean? Because, you're taking it for granted. Everyone will get it. And this is everyone else.
Not everyone else, Ashley.
Maybe they wouldn't all get individual slides. They wouldn't. But we have the most adorable younger brother and sister, if that's really still his younger brother and sister, because we saw a whole new set of kids. And I said, who these kids? Like, I was like, is this foster home? Maybe he was in the foster home. I didn't bring them kids because I don't know them kids. They were... but we have, they were so adorable. These kids were very grown as well, cussing like sailors, but they were so cute, so adorable. We meet kind of one, I think maybe the only kind of guiding light for him, trying to propel him forward, which is his guidance counselor, which we all know. And for y'all know her name, because I don't remember her name in real life.
Tamala.
Mm-hmm. There you go. We know her from back in the 90s. But she's the guidance counselor, and she really speaks into Brandon's life, tries to set him up with opportunities. And then we have Lamont, which is his mama's baby daddy, who's clearly for the streets, clearly in the streets still. Kay, what do you think of these people? You said you liked Mike Epps as Lamont. How did you feel about the other characters, the rest of them? Did they impact you?
That people have to have that one positive role model in their life. When you're making a hood movie, you got to have that one positive. It's just a hood movie trope. It's got to be the one that you can make it. You can get out of the hood. Let me help you. what do you need? I want to see you do so much better. So of course he had to have that type of person in his life. And you got to have a supervillain, which is his stepdad, which was just ratchet. And that beating he took from his own stepdad, I'm like, how you get beat up twice in the same movie? At this point, we just
Right.
know, Brandon, you can't fight, so I need you to like chill out.
And always trying to
Because you've
fight.
already
And
proven
always,
that you can fight.
oh, I said, dang, he got stomped out trying to pick a fight. He should have got them kids, got in that car and exited stage left. Go home, Brandon. Tyra, what you think about everybody else? Anybody stand out for you?
I love the kids. They were very, very adorable, as you said. I'm with you. I just chalked it up to yeah, we don't know them kids. Them kids were created in his mental state. Those kids were created in his mental state and all a facade to cater to Cassidy's character. He created a whole universe for a whole situation, girl. And then it's like it was just so many unexplained things because we have that. But if you bring something in like them mirroring so heavy and having matching scars, it's like, okay, well, did his mom slip up that heavily? Did he go to foster care? Like, give me some answers. We ain't gonna get no part two. But I loved Miss Tamala here with the good character in a hood movie. You too can be somebody if you want to be somebody. If you want to go somewhere, you better wake up and pay attention, okay? We need one of them every single hood film. Now Lamont over here, because you said evil. I'm gonna need y'all to turn the volume down on evil villain. I was like, all right, look at here. First of all, I don't care where Mike Epps is. He gonna be funny to me. I just be laughing. We ain't supposed to be laughing at stuff, but I'm just gonna be laughing. I don't care what Mike Epps breathes, and it's funny. So if we're gonna bring him here and be the villain and have his outcome be his outcome, oh, I needed him to be a menace. I needed him to be like, you know what, Brandon? I see why you don't want this around. He got to go. It just felt so undeserved. It just was giving, a sweet man, not the best daddy, selling a little weed on the side. It wasn't giving he need to get out of my life forever. I just, me as a hood historian myself, it just wasn't giving one of them thugsters as Jay would say, or it's just I was like, I mean, he not that bad. Weak father, sure. You can tell that he's not as present, and it's just like when we have that whole showdown, it's just like, well, I have to get the kids because you wouldn't know what to be. You should be getting your kids anyway. Like, what do you mean? That's you're not being an active father, and you're coming up in here, laying up, and selling lithium, but it wasn't given. It wasn't giving that. It wasn't giving that. So I needed Lamont to be low down dirt. I wanted them to go on him to bust in there, and the babies was about to smoke some drugs, or just some. It's like, oh, they taking a nap in here, and there's some smut magazines and some weed on the table. Is that a PB and J? Oh, let's go. It's terrible in here. I was like, hold on.
And when the auntie said, I've got 2 credits in child development, they could.
2 credits. They good. Like, I just
smoking hurt nobody.
I needed some more fire as to how high risk Lamont's character was supposed to be, or how much of a threat he was supposed to be to Brandon in his mother's life, outside of not being, as of a present father and, selling her lithium on the side. I needed a little bit more stock.
And see, I actually kind of liked that he was just middle of the road, because I think it spoke more to Brandon's mental condition, right? And his role in his mom's life being the man of the house. And these are my kids. They're your kids, but they're really my kids because I feel like I think it was more resentment. You know what I'm saying? That's what it kind of was giving me, but yeah, I don't know
if I enough resentment to get murked over. It was enough to get murked over.
So that's the mental thing of it all. Like,
I thought they was like gonna beat him to a pulp, like just enough for him to get on the doop. You still alive? The monitor is beeping, but you're still in there. You look bad in the hospital, but you're gonna get out. You're gonna walk again. Not like murked. I was like, oh, this escalated quickly.
What was you gonna say, Kay?
Sometimes when you have mental illness, you have grandiose personality, and sometimes things get exaggerated or embellished. And so in his mind, stepdad isn't present, he is way worse than he might be. In his mind, he magnified him being a deadbeat dad. And it's like, you're the worst person ever. This is the worst. This is a trap house. They're having drugs and prostitution in here. And I can't have my siblings in here. And you know what? And I'm going to fight for their honor, knowing he can't fight. But see, when the symptoms come out, he thought he could handle it all. He thought that he had to go save them from the fire-breathing dragon at the castle. And when he got knocked out, it might have knocked a little bit of sense into him.
Maybe. Why Brandon just ain't get in that car? Brandon, get in the car, Bookie. Get in the car, baby boy. Go, 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 go. But y'all, so now that we've met the characters, here's kind of the story in a nutshell. And I made us a little roadmap, okay? Brandon in the beginning, he gets fired from the job, punches a hole in the bedroom wall because he's big mad, which I was like, okay, I don't think everybody punches holes in walls, but hey, I'm giving it to him. We see that there is an art fellowship that he wants to apply for, but looks like he's probably set it on the back burner. The kids is hungry. Brandon, we want pizza. Mama said that you were going to take us to your job. Well, he done already got fired. So immediately he's triggered. He said, let me go to the store and steal some ramen noodles. I said, of all the things to steal at the store, why are you stealing one pack of ramen noodles? What that going to do, Bookie? Enter
you had a couple dollars. You had some money. That's what I'm saying. You got some money. I'm sorry.
Enter the Circle K, 7-Eleven. Glitter Mask comes in, disrupts everything, steals his wallet. So now she's got to bring his wallet back because he ain't have no money no way. And plus he was kind of turned on. Comes to the house, she done filled up the house with groceries. She done loved on the children's allegedly. But when I watched it back a second time, I said, them kids didn't know she was there. They was like, where'd the purse come from, Brandon? Cassidy, that's your girlfriend? He's like, well, we got to leave the room. I was like, okay, now it makes sense. And so, they meet and it's, reckless ever since, meets with the guidance counselor. She's like, we don't have the luxury of not doing what we need to do. And he knows that. You got to be better, Brandon. Gets into it with his mama. I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. Get the F out, Janice, right? Then we go on our Bonnie and Clyde mission. It's us against the world. And we end off, he's in the mask. All right. Doing the unthinkable to Lamont. If it really happened, y'all, did this really happen? Tyra, did it really happen? Did he really unalight that man?
I ain't see no slow singing. I ain't see no flower bringing. I didn't see a repass. I didn't see no ramifications. I ain't see the cops roll up and put no cuffs. I felt like if it really happened and we have the cousin realistically as present as she was, we saw the situation, the car go by, and we have the retaliation scene in the end. Yeah, I feel like we would have ended off with the boy being locked up. So I'm feeling like it didn't mentally. This is where he was, and I'm. It's just so because they didn't give us much. I don't think it happened because you would have been locked up. You sitting here in your nice button down at the therapist. I don't think it happened. I don't think it happened.
I said, is it because it's Compton? Like, I was like, what? They don't investigate homicides anymore? Like, what?
Oh,
Dane C with the super chat. Tyra needs her own spoiler alert warning. We're going to get her a button, Dane. We'll
How long y'all been here? How long y'all been doing this channel? Don't play. You get in here and you try to be cute with your super chats, Dane. Just for that, I'm going to need you to send me $2 more because you know better. Don't do that. You already know what it is over here on this platform.
Joshua says ramen noodles cost no more than $1 and some change. Listen, that's what I'm like. Wow, it's that
bad. Where y'all ramen noodles at? Because with mine, at the store they good 30 cents.
25 a pack. You hear me? You can get for $1 all day. Kay. Did it happen? Did the unaliving happen? Was it real?
That's the part that I couldn't figure out. But I'm thinking if it was real, he would be going to jail instead of therapy because Black people don't get the luxury of going to therapy over jail. Okay. So if he committed murder, they wouldn't care about his mental illness at all. He would be going to see the jailhouse mental therapist and get medicated. So I'm going to say, I don't think it was real because they would have locked him up instead.
Yeah. I took it as like, I'm recognizing, finding my son in this state. Something's wrong. Something's not connecting. I was almost kind of disconnecting in a way with the mental illness. I was like, was it even his mom? Has it just been him the whole time? Was his mom unwell at all? Was it just like, I'm dealing with Brandon because I know he needs help. I know he needs to take medication and he's not. He's not seeking therapy and he's not taking his meds and he's projecting this onto his mother. I had a whole bunch of questions. Thank you. Yes, yes.
I mean, if it was schizophrenia is genetic. So it could have been that she was sick, like
Yeah.
psychosis and bipolar schizophrenia. They're all genetic. So that could have been her seeing signs of herself in him.
Speaking of her and him, mother and son, they're dynamic. This wasn't a mother and son situation. They had a couple of cute moments. Like I thought in the laundromat, that was a cute moment because they have this little game that they play. And he smiles a little bit. She made breakfast for the family one morning, and that was a cute moment. But really, there was no depth to their relationship. Like I didn't until the very end. I'll say that. I think the embrace, the holding him when she saw something was wrong with him, I was like, that's what made me think, is the version of her that we got in the beginning, was it really her? You know what I mean? Or was it just that idea of her that he's telling from his perspective? You know what I mean? I'll start with you, Tyra. What did you think of this mother-son dynamic? Was it a mother-son dynamic?
It really wasn't. I really expected to get a little bit more time with them. I think that's where the movie just kind of made a misstep. I keep wanting to call her Muncie. We spent a lot of time with Cassidy and just getting more into her character. And I felt like it was necessary, but we could have lent some of that to their mother-son dynamic to really get to know his mother. Because I just left off questioning, which I think that's the purpose of the movie, just questioning everything you just saw. But I was like, was he projecting everything onto her? Because even in that last scene, the therapist says, like, I'm so glad your mother brought you in. I was like, I just feel like it's been him this whole time. And it just explained to me why, because it could be, I think maybe halfway through the film, I thought, okay, this is something passed down from his mother and it's a trait. And I was like, no. Once we got to the end, I was like, I just feel, it was a lot. I just feel like it was him. It's been him this whole time. And the mother has been trying to deal with a young son who is dealing with mental illness. That's what I got from it. Deal with the son who's dealing with mental illness, all while trying to work, trying to, hold down the fort and all these other good things. But we have those scenes of, clearly there's medication in her room. We have the talks of the lithium. I'm like, well, hell, you was all shoot 'em up, bang, bang with Lamont. Was he selling your lithium? I had so many questions. But like you said, I wish that this dynamic was fleshed out. I did love the scene, the little brief vocabulary thing in the laundromat and just that. But I left this movie with more questions than I did answers.
Yeah. And I think that's why I kind of liked it, because I was like, is this really what people who are struggling with psychosis or delusions or schizophrenia, is this their experience? Is this like the view of the world that they literally have? If so, like I said, I was shook. I was like, wait, am I like, what?
I don't know,
Because what's real and you don't know what's fake, because even in those last scenes, we're seeing another house. And I'm like, do they really live in like, in the hood like this? Or because there were like nice appliances, there were certain things that were different than the original. And I'm like, what is this? Like, is this just how
we see the house boarded up like for sale? So I was like, was this the former life, what they used to be? Or like I had questions.
I did too. Kay, what do you think of this mother dynamic?
It's hard to form a bond when two people are severe with mental illness, because I honestly think that she has her own mental illness and it got passed down through him, because with those severe mental illness they usually don't come out of nowhere unless you have a traumatic childhood. But I think that she recognizes the signs in him because she suffers too. And yes, people who suffer from like either schizophrenia or dissociative disorder, their reality is very warped. You can't tell them that they don't know the president. You can't tell them Janet Jackson is not their sister. You can't tell them that they got Brad Pitt on speed dial, that they don't have that. They believe all of it.
Hmm.
And by you challenging them and challenging the voices they hear or the hallucinations they hear, then it becomes a problem. And she might have had a strain with him because of the things that he sees or thinks that he sees that he really does not. It's not going to be a smooth relationship.
Well, with our conversation here, I'm leaving off with he wasn't accepting the fact that he was dealing with mental illness because his mother wasn't accepting it. And it was just them kind of bombarding each other at the same time. That's my story, and I'm saying
That's all we can do, honey, because they sure didn't tell us. I said they leaving a lot up to the audience to figure this out. Bonnie and Clyde, question mark. I said they was robbing, stealing, killing, destroying. What was the appeal? Cassidy represented Brandon without the mask because there is a section after the shooting happens or the blicky firing happens where he's now left alone and he has Cassidy talking to him, letting him know, I helped you. Like, this is who you were. You were the blicky and I was the fire bubbling up in you. And he says that we wear a mask and it was nice to not have the mask anymore. What did y'all think of their crime sprees, their stealing, killing, and destroying situation, especially when we watch it back and he's watching it, right, as well, which is, I guess, his reality check. He done ordered all the milkshakes himself and the pancakes because I said, why is she eating everything and he's not? You know what I'm saying? The beating up the car with the golf clubs, the white purse, which was clearly whoever owned that car. And that was my other question. We've been driving this car for weeks.
Who leaves that? Oh, I thought you said, who leaves their purse in the dog in the front seat? Who does that in Compton? What?
Okay. Kay, what do you think, Kay? What did you think of their crime spree or his crime spree?
Child, he got a vivid imagination. So when he was cycling through that whole time and didn't even know it. Because when the delusions are so much better than reality, it's their escapism. Especially if you don't like your real life. Once them symptoms come in, oh yeah, it's gonna be good. He was having him a good old time. This is not like the reality of waking up and seeing that I have a mental illness. It's better to just believe this person is real than for somebody to tell me that my mind made it all up. So of course it's just like, hey, I'm gonna go for the best of it. He might be the one that liked movies, trying to put it on Cassidy, sir.
He had to because she was quoting lines.
Yeah.
Okay, Mister, set it off.
Who was he Bucky naked with in the back of the car then? Because I said they were having all kind of action.
I said he was touching himself. That's what I said. That's what I came.
He himself and him.
Rubbing all over his body. Tyra, what did you think?
I just knew even though I knew she wasn't real, I was like, we're going to end off with Brandon capped off. Like, it's going to be a whole set it off chase at the end. And I was like, oh, he going down because ain't no way you're committing all of these crimes and you're not going to get got. And the further and further we got into the film and there were just really no repercussions, then I was starting to question, did he actually shoot him? Was there actually any robbery? Like, has this all just been in his mind? Because I like going back that second time and seeing him notice her or people around him notice, like, who the hell are he looking at? Who is he talking to? Like, nobody's there. Because there is, a lot of that, especially within the high school or even that moment where we have the mom say, where'd you get the car? But it's just like, if the mother is acknowledging the car, then the car is real. You actually stole the car. So which I just was questioning what was real and what wasn't, because it's like, if there is a car, if your mother found you in that state, you know what? If your mother found you in the state that you were in with the Grace bullet, the only way for you to get that would be via the retaliation from the cousin. So if she had a need to retaliate on you, that means, oh, this is the same car I saw leaving the premises when my family was shot. So that would insinuate that you actually shot Lamont. But we didn't see you get any repercussions for anything. So it's just like,
I think he cut himself on the fence, friend. I don't know because and you keep the car parked outside of your house. You have the purse. So, and again, I'm questioning: is the first mama that we saw even a real mama? Was that really her, or was that another figment of his imagination? See, that's what I'm saying. That's the beauty of the film. It has you thinking. Well, we already know Tyra's answer to this. She won't. Okay, so you knew she wasn't real, but did you think it was as a result of his mental illness, or what? What did you? Was that part of twist for you?
Well, yeah, I once well, with me knowing that I think that twist was taken away from me too, because with me knowing that she wasn't real and how invested he was in her and the mirroring each other and the spree that was happening, I was like, oh, he's mentally unstable. He's on the brink. And we kept having those POV shots of him just, it was like shaky cam anxiety type stuff. I was like, break it down, break it down. You get my blood pressure up and I'm over here sitting on my couch, like relax. But with those shots, I was like, okay, it's clearly something's mentally wrong. I didn't know if it was going to mirror his mother's condition, but it was something that was a misstep with him. So that didn't, the twist for me was like, so he gonna go to jail? Did that the twist for me was like, are there no repercussions? I was just questioning, did he actually kill anybody? That was a twist for me. Or like, what part of it was real and what wasn't? Because was there a car? Because the mother said it was a car, but he could have
imagined the mama being there talking to him, because the mama was probably at work. She probably wasn't even there, because how she get all this time now where she's out of bed sitting on the porch without taking her medicine? You know what I mean? Like, as I think about it, as I think, hey, Pretty Girl Danny says Andre went through the same thing on Empire, hallucinated a whole girlfriend and was talking to himself in public. Do you remember that on Empire?
I remember that. I remember. I do.
But hey, the twist, were you thinking, I mean, as a clinician, right? Were you thinking the whole time, oh yeah, I mean, up to a certain point, were you like, oh, okay, Brandon, that's what's going on? Or was this a surprise for you?
Towards the end, it started to his mental state started to unravel. But yeah, I honestly thought that old girl was like terminally ill. Like I thought she was like on drop dead or something, and take the charge for him. Because I'm just like something. I knew it was like something that was gonna have related to her and her presence there. I'm just like, maybe she's gonna, say, I'm sick, I have cancer, and I'll take the fall for you. If the police come, I'll take everything. So either way, he was,
He wrote a whole movie.
Yes, she was gonna be sick. She was gonna be dying. Like, look, I'm turning. It ain't nothing we can do about it. I just wanted to have some fun before I went out. At the last minute. This is why I pulled you.
Remember. I'll walk to remember.
And then I was just like, oh, she's not sick. She's just not there at all. She's just not there at all. Okay, which means that he's not there at all.
You're a horror person, Kay. I don't see how you watch this from the dead beginning, because as soon as it came on, it reminded me so much of High Tension. You know those obscure things in High Tension where you're like, something's off here. That's not really, it's been you this whole time. Like, it was giving me those type of feelings. That's why I was like, she couldn't possibly be real. And then we have her dressed like a bougie ghetto princess fairy. Like, she was, I mean, it was cute. It was cute. The looks were absolutely giving, but it was just like, they were dropping too many hints that this is not a real person. But I did enjoy the acting, especially when we got into her them like mentally breaking down, and she puts the gun up, and I was like, oh, he's really unstable. I just knew him and the obsession with movies. We even heard about Thelma and Louise. We see the guns. I was like, oh, we finna Thelma and Louise set it off this whole situation. Brandon is not making it out of this film alive. The spree is gonna catch up to him. They're gonna come look for him at his mom. I wrote the movie too. I wrote my own movie too. They're gonna come look for him at his mother's house. He's going off, and that car is just gonna be like, you know what? I'm gonna go off like the movies I love to see. And he was gonna, go off that bridge and into that Grand Canyon, like, Thelma and them. But I was like, oh, he just at therapy.
Yeah, and they alluded to James Dean as well when they were driving fallen or whatever. And he was like, yeah, he went over that cliff too. But
Yeah.
then as you say it, when she is on that floor, and I'm like, is she gonna? She's like, I'm not scared either, Brandon, and pulls the trigger. I'm like, okay, he might have grazed his own self, because as many bullets as Auntie whoever sent through that car point blank range, for him to only get grazed in the
Mm.
arms was like a stretch for me, because she let off. She was like pop, 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 pop. I was like, okay, and but
No,
I mean,
actually, you couldn't tell me with that scenery shot. Like, I've been waiting to get back here. I just knew he was gonna die right there. I thought it was pew. I'm sorry.
oh my gosh! And again, we've already kind of touched on this. What really happened? And I guess this is
Oh,
disjoining. Oh, go ahead, Kay.
yes. Another thing I thought after I figured out that she might, other than Cassidy being like terminally ill, I thought that he was dead. I think through half the movie, I thought he was dead and he was watching this movie as a dead person. So when the flashback started, I was like, oh, you looking at your life from when you were still alive. You did. And then at the end, when it was in the therapist's office, I was like, oh, I thought he was dead. Thought he was a ghost.
He's yet alive.
I love it.
Oh Lord, I'm tickled. Not tickled that you thought he was gone, but and again, like that was my question. What are the repercussions? But apparently none of this happened. I think that's the consensus, that the bulk of these things did not really happen. And I said, is this catharsis? Is this healing? Because it did ultimately lead, at least to his exposure, right? That he's been fighting this internal battle, and he can now get the help he needs. Okay, this is a question, and it might, not too deep, but what do you think? Do you think he will mourn the loss of Cassidy in his life? Because he says at one point, "I wish I didn't need you." Right.
Mm.
And he's like, but now I gotta take these steps. I gotta move on. And he's literally like in the bed weeping as she disappears. What do you think that's gonna result in? If he doesn't get help, would she return? I mean, these are all hypothetical since we writing anyway. I'm just curious about
Most
your
certainly. If he doesn't, consistently get help, that presence is going to come back. I thought him tearfully in the end, letting her go was a sense of acceptance. I can't exist in this alternate reality of, things I want to do, or things like I have to let this go and really accept that I may be suffering from mental illness, just like my mother, and I need to get some help, and I need to, do that instead of going all off into fantasy and escapism and, oh, I don't like my mother's boyfriend. This is it felt really outlandish of, this is what I would do if I didn't like this, or if I don't have enough money, we're struggling, I'm gonna go rob and do, like, I thought it was just acceptance. But I think with the ending in him actually admitting that to himself and going with his mother to therapy to maybe get some help, or maybe even get put on medication himself, was him leaving her behind for good.
Yeah, I hope so. Listen, I hope so, Brandon. Lord, Kay. What did you think about the loss now of Cassidy in his life, and him in therapy and saying he's glad his mama brought him? He looks like a different person a little bit,
Y'all seen the movie Split, right? Mm-hmm. So if it ain't gonna be Cassidy, it's gonna be Kevin, it's gonna be Mary, it's gonna be Sally, it's gonna be Jamal. Like, it's not gonna stop there. And I'm pretty sure Cassidy wasn't the first one. He probably had little Peanut and TJ growing up. She ain't the first person. It's gonna keep happening.
So what's the hope? What's the prognosis? Even with therapy and medication, they silence them, or
this is how it was put to me. The medication doesn't take away the hallucinations or the voices or personalities. It lessens the amount and the severity.
Well, with that being said, what Kay said was he's going to be struggling with this for the rest of his life. But we're hoping that, with therapy and the proper medication, our boy is going to be okay, and he's going to leave those thoughts at bay. Yeah.
Listen, we're praying. We're praying for that. But yeah, you guys, I mean, I thought overall that it made me think, right? And it made me think about mental illness in a different way. And again, I am just a fan of stories from the diaspora being different. Tell me a different story. Give me a new perspective. Give me a different way of looking at a certain situation or issue. And so I love how they highlighted mental illness in a young Black man, what that would look like, right? Post adolescence, starting with the pressures of like life, whatever the pressures were, honey, because at the end of it, we still don't freaking know if these were all real struggles or if he had amplified them, right? His idea of no food in the house may have been there was just food he didn't want to have in the house. Like at the end of it, it has me questioning everything. And to think that some people really endure this, y'all, that was eye opening and that made it worth the watch for me. But since I mean we do talk about content and we give critiques after this question, I have another question for y'all. Pretty Girl Danny says, do you guys think this was a good representation of needing and accepting mental help or decent representation of the problems that we face in our community that need to be addressed? Who wants to start? Oh, because mental health is still taboo and untapped in untouched community. Sorry, I had to finish the question.
I do. I thought we see a lot of I do wish we move away from Compton sometimes because we spend a lot of time over there for whatever reason. We spend a lot of time in Compton, and I think there's more creative ways to express mental illness and depression or whatever you may have you in someone without it being it's always due to the circumstances or we live in this kind of, that's that type of situation. I wish we move a little bit, away from that because shouted they give Compton the worst name ever. But I feel like it was really creative in the way that they decided to address it. And someone could look at this and see themselves in Brandon or in the likes of Cassidy or even Janice. And it's something that needs to be addressed. And I understand why they put it in that type of neighborhood because those are the neighborhoods where you're the least to go out and venture to get therapy or get access to medication or accept that something's wrong with you. But I just wish we just go to, I don't know, go to Baldwin Hills. So anywhere and just not Compton.
Kay, what are your thoughts on this question?
I think that this was clever because so often Black people don't think that they have mental illness because our symptoms don't look like, the whites. They don't mirror them. And so if our symptoms don't look like, the rich white people that can afford to have their therapist come over to their house and diagnose them and throw them some pills and be in their little fancy offices and stuff, or they have time to just lay in the bed because, they ain't got to worry about bill paying. And our symptoms don't look like theirs. And if our symptoms don't look like what's projected to us, we'll assume there's nothing wrong. Yep. And I think that we need to see what mental illness symptoms look like on us to wake us up and say, okay, I might have a little trauma too. I might need to go get some help too. That reminds me of me. Maybe I need to do something about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I absolutely love the way that they approached it because again, not just him going through his experience and seeing that, but as I would say a fairly mentally healthy person, right? Being able to empathize with those who are going through a struggle like this, to even get some sort of semblance of an understanding of what their experience was like. I think if for nothing else, it's worth that. I also like the fact that it wasn't a matter of him not having access, right? His mom was just refusing to his mom was just refusing to, and probably him wanting to deny it because I don't want to be anything like my mother based on my experiences. But I love that it shined a light. But yeah, maybe next time we can do Midwest, we can do Arizona, we everywhere. You know what I'm saying? We're not just in Cali. I think a lot of creators though are there. And so they center it in the spaces where maybe they grew up or their friends. But no, I think it did a great job of shining a light on that. And so now for the critiques, right? Because we wouldn't be fair if we didn't give them something to take back for their next project. I'm going to start with you, Tyra. What were your critiques of the film? What do you think they could do better in the next project?
Just maybe flesh out the side characters more. Not so much that, you know, we just spend X amount of time with them, but I think that there was a way to utilize all the time we had in the film more. I would have liked more creative ways for, well, I think that's maybe just me because like you guys said, you felt like Cassidy was real up until a certain point. I just maybe ruined it for myself. I wanted a little bit more creativity around that portion and mystery as far as like, okay, you know what? Oh, that was clever. I really thought she was real there. Like I never thought she was real. Let's see, just fleshing those characters out. Because I don't have a whole lot, and just being conscious of when to give and when to take away, because I do like the fact that we all walked away with questions and not really knowing, was that real or isn't it? But there's a way to do that and also make a really tight, concise like film and just feel fulfilled with it. I feel iffy about what did or didn't happen, but I also feel like really empty or left, like something was missing with the film for me to go like, oh, that was completely as a whole, like a really compelling film outside of us just solely waiting until maybe that 30-minute, you know, ending mark to go like, oh, okay, this is what we've been kind of waiting on, because we do spend pretty much that first hour or so with it being a slow burn, and we just need, you know, a little things, little something to keep us, you know, put a little morsel of something on my tongue to keep me holding, a little piece of chocolate. Don't take much. I'll stick around, but I wanted a little bit more there to keep me intrigued, as well as, you know, just some backstory with the characters. If you don't want to flesh them out solely, give me a brief little flashback, and I'm good with that. But just, you know, not much though. I thought this was really great, especially for this director. I think that this was like her first like big solo project for herself. So I thought she did a great job with that.
Amen. I do too. Kay? Is she frozen?
I would have liked to see some flashbacks from his childhood. Can you see me?
Mm-hmm. Now we can.
Childhood. And maybe if he was struggling a bit there. And I would have also liked to see maybe a perspective from his mom or perspective from people at school, because you can't be in school and going through this and somebody not notice. I would have liked to see other people noticing these things about him and maybe trying to tell him, but him denying them, like asking him, are you okay? Or, you know, are you sure about that? Or maybe we should do that. I feel like we should have looked at people checking on him.
Freeze again.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I agree with both of you ladies on the fact that I would have wanted a little bit more depth in the characters. I would have wanted to see what the relationship was like before this episode, because I'm going to kind of boil it down to it being he was having a break, a psychotic episode and break, right? This entire movie. I would have liked to see that fleshed out a little bit more, just in terms of, like you said, that relationship. Also, though, in terms of the end, I want I kind of would like the distinction of what was real and what was fake. And it didn't have to be super long, right? I would have just really wanted to see his real family at some point, or, a real situation like where was the car really? Or maybe just see the car with no holes in it.
Yes.
Anything would have just let me know whether these events happened or not. But yeah, other than that, I think kudos to her. It was a different story, a story I haven't seen per se. And so yeah, shout out to Themby Banks, and you go, girl. And I'm ready for the next. I'm gonna give you guys the floor though. Let the people know what you got going on. I am going to start with you, Tyra.
Hello, you guys. Just be on the lookout for Friday. We will be back here with hopefully some other guests, and we will be discussing The Boys. Still waiting on YouTube to, get their foot off my neck and let me release those videos that I have in store by throwbacks. So I will, do my best to get those on the way really, really soon. But yeah, be on the lookout Friday for The Boys and anything else I have coming out. But at the moment, you guys, we are going live. We are going live. I know a lot of you have been unhappy about that and you have no interest there, but just know that I'm working on it. Soon as I have, leverage to let any videos out, any of my throwbacks, any of my usual content, it will definitely be up. But at the moment, there's an issue. So support your girl in her lives until I can come back. Back to you, Ashley.
Okay, I was on mute. Yes, horror people, nerd people, come on over. If you need something to watch in the horror sci-fi realm, come on. Talking about The Boys, House of Dragon, Interview with the Vampire, reviews for The Watchers, Tarot, Imaginary, Godzilla -1, Steam, some throwback stuff, Evil. So yeah, if you like any of those movies, I still plan to go see A Quiet Place. So there's a review going to be coming soon for that movie. So yes, if you like horror sci-fi, come on over and hit that subscribe button.
And yeah, you guys hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. There's a ton of content on the way, so just be ready for it. But y'all, ladies, do you have anything else to say before we say good night and goodbye?
Check on your friends, go to therapy, take your medication.
That right. I wish I had a hotline number, but call 211 in your area. I think they give you resources for everything. Is it 211? Yeah, it's 211. Anything, Kay?
Oh, good hosting, Ashley. Nice little dance breaks and everything. I see.
Yeah, it's productive. That's why I said, yeah. I loved it.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see y'all in the next video.
Bye, guys.